Hey, welcome to the very first hangout from the Biz Factor team. And this is Pam Moore. I am your host. A lot of you know me as Pam Marketing Nut out on Twitter. I am going to be joined today by, I'm telling you, some really smart, technical, savvy folks, including the amazing team from HostGator. And we even have Snappy with us. Hopefully you can see his little face. There he is. Everybody say hello, Snappy. And we have three other folks. We have Chris, Kyler, and Devon. Am I saying that right, Devon?
Yes, ma'am, 100%.
Yes, Devon with us, and we'll get there in a minute. But what I want to do first is tell you a little bit about what we are doing with BizFactor. And BizFactor, this has been something that has been on our list for a long time, and we have really wanted to do a Google Hangout and really start to get more video introduced into our platform. And it's those good problems that always get in the way, like clients paying money and that type of thing, and great projects coming along, and we kept pushing it off and pushing it off, and so we finally decided we are going to do this thing once and for all. Are you guys trying to tell me something? All right. We decided to do this thing once and for all, and what better way to do it than to launch it with one of our awesome clients and partners, which is HostGator. And if you listen to our podcast at all, the Social Zoom Factor podcast, we have over almost 150 episodes now. You probably have heard that they are a dear partner and friend and of ours. And so hopefully you've joined some of the tweet chats we've had on Get Real Chat and starting to learn a little bit more about them. And so that's what we're going to be bringing to you in this platform, is where we're going to be digging in deeper to some of these topics. And I'm super excited about it because we can only do so much on a tweet chat. And anyone that knows me knows that I absolutely love Twitter. I think it's an amazing platform. However, there's so many chats that we have that we want to give deeper. We know our community needs more than what we can give them during a Twitter chat. And so that's really what this is going to be about. And over the coming weeks and months, we will have content for entrepreneurs, small business owners and leaders, all the way up to corporate executives, and everything in between, and really just helping people stay up on the trends and technology and social, and helping us all just really, figure out what that factor is that's going to help us rock our business and rock our life. So that's what it is, kind of in a nutshell, and I hope that you all are as excited as we are about it. I look forward to having a ton of great guests coming on and sharing their wisdom with you over the coming weeks. So without further ado, let's get started. And what I would like to do is have each of you, Chris, Devon, and Kyler, just do a brief introduction about yourself and tell us who you are, kind of a little bit about what your background is, so people can understand why they should listen to you. And I know you all have so much knowledge to share. And I just want to say overall that we have had an amazing experience working with HostGator and their team, and I'll talk a little bit more about our professional relationship with them and how we use their services. But from a people perspective, these guys are the real deal. What you see is what you get, and you'll get to meet Snappy today as well, and you're going to have an opportunity as well to vote for some dance moves that you may want Snappy to do. And all you have to do is use the hashtag Snappy Dance Moves. And if Snappy and the HostGator team picks your dance move, you will win a free HostGator t-shirt, all right?
Ever for the sprinkler.
I think so too. I think the sprinkler and the lawnmower would be good.
Perfect.
And then we have a survey too that you'll see it's in the event link, and then we'll be tweeting it out. If you complete the survey, you can enter for a chance to win an entire year of free hosting. So that's a great deal. It's almost a $200 value. So great opportunity for you to engage today, and we just wanted to really let you see how much of a human brand HostGator is and how they can help you achieve your goals and understand some things around hosting and security today, but also have a lot of fun in the process. So I want to turn it over to my three friends at HostGator and have you introduce yourselves.
All right, so I'm Chris Whitling. I'm the Director of Marketing at HostGator. I've been in this position for about 2 years, moved to Texas to join HostGator. I've got about 6 years in the domain and hosting industry and probably about 8 in the online marketing space. Started doing paid search right out of college and happy to work for HostGator now.
Yep, they're lucky to have you, that's for sure.
My name is Kyler Patterson. I am the marketing coordinator for HostGator. My expertise are Facebook advertising and Twitter advertising, but anything marketing related, I handle it. I've been a HostGator for 4 years. I started off the ground floor as a junior admin, answering calls, chats, working my way through college, and I moved my way up into this spot I'm at now, and I love it ever since.
My name's Devon Daniels. I'm pretty much the same as Kyler. I started at the ground floor. First of all, I'm the manager of Linux support administration here at HostGator. Moved here to Austin originally from Houston. Transferred with the company. I've been here since 2009, and I handle all support interactions that come in via email.
Okay, great. So which one of you is the most geeky of everybody?
There's so many different levels of geek. I don't know how to explain it. I would say maybe this guy.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I'm going to go with Chris.
And you know that's a compliment, right? I was thinking maybe it was you, Devon. I don't know.
It's me if it's a compliment. I'll take that.
Because you have IT on your title, right? What's your title?
Manager of Linux System Administration.
Yeah, so that sounds like a little more geeky, but
For
I
sure.
don't know. We'll have to have a showdown. So now Snappy may have a different opinion on that. So let's put the camera over to Snappy. Hi, Snappy. What do you think? So Snappy doesn't really say a lot, but he says a lot in his heart, right? And he's going to have some signs later that he's going to share some information with us possibly. And like I said, he's going to be doing some dance moves. So put your creative dancing hat on, everybody who's watching, and send us some tweets and let us know what moves you want to see Snappy do.
I think Snappy might have left his signs in his office.
Yeah, oops.
Snappy, okay, he'll have to just do some sign language or something. We'll figure it out.
I think he knows that. But remember, I vote for Sprinkler, so if anybody can get in there.
These wild gators, we can't control them. I mean, I don't know what to say.
Yes.
All right, so really briefly, I just want to share with everybody, and anyone who's listened to my podcast, you know that I am a huge believer in what HostGator does. And I want you to know that it's not because they are a sponsor of our platform or that, you know, we work with them from a business perspective. The truth is we've worked with HostGator for years, and I used to host when I first started as an entrepreneur. You know, I spent 15 years in corporate, and when we first started, I went and bought my domain at that other host provider that with the initials of GD. And
no.
I know nobody can guess what that is. And we literally had problem after problem. And basically, you get what you pay for. And I think after our site was hacked for the third time in about the third month we launched, we said, okay, we need to look at something different. And we went to Bluehost, which is also a great provider. And I know now, you know, one with HostGator, and then we wound up moving to HostGator. And what they really did over time was become our partner and our friends. And I'll tell you, it was the social service that really has earned our business over time. And it never fails. When something goes wrong with any of our sites, it's always on a Saturday. It's on a Saturday I've been at the bowling alley in Colorado on vacation over Thanksgiving last year. Something went wrong. I've been, you know, on the soccer field. It's never on a Monday morning when everybody's in the office and everybody can, you know, team is on deck ready to fix it. It's always when you least expect it. And all I have to do, honestly, is send one single tweet to HostGator, and their support team is on it. And you know, this has been the last few years, and they will then email me and tell me, okay, here's the problems that we found. Here's how we're going to fix it. And half the time it's usually on our end. It's something we've messed up or who knows what's happened. And they will always help us with the solution. All I have to do is hit reply and approve it, and it's fixed. And I mean, it's usually a short period of time. If there ever is a mistake that's on their end, they own it, right? And so that's something that I think is really important to me. They own it and they fix it. And I'm not saying this as any type of commercial. I'm saying this as we lived we live this with HostGator. They are our true partner. So when we launched Social Zoom Factor podcast, they were one of the first companies we talked to, because we only believe in really bringing even sponsors onto our platform where we can say that we have tried their product or service and we believe in it. And so I'm so excited today to dig into some of the details around what entrepreneurs and business leaders can do to avoid risk and to avoid issues and really get their site developed right, designed right, and hosted and secure in a way that is going to minimize that risk, that is going to help their business sustain. Because the fact of the matter is, if you can build the most beautiful website or blog, and if you don't have it on a solid hosting platform that is going to a framework that Google is going to be able to read, that your clients are going to be able to read on their mobile devices, and that is going to be the performance is going to be at a high enough rate that people are going to be able to actually engage and read your content, it's all for nothing, right? And so your hosting and the framework and the foundation for which you're building your site, I truly believe is something that many business people, whether they're in a small business or whether they're in an enterprise business, we see it happen, that they just don't put enough time in. And they spend all this time on content and how they're going to build the website, but they forget this foundation. And so that's where I would like to kick off the discussion today, is to talk about what you see as some of the biggest mistakes that people are making when it comes to, let's talk first about launching a new site. So let's say you're launching a new blog or a website, or if you're in a large organization, maybe you're launching a new mini site, or you have a new division launching. If we could talk about some of the greatest risks associated and what kind of people miss, I think that would be great to dig into.
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for the kind words. We really appreciate hearing that. Definitely means a lot. We got a lot of people here. I think 650 total, 300-ish in Austin, 300-ish in Houston, and they're working around the clock. So I can't wait to share this with them. It's gonna be it's gonna be good.
Earned. I mean, it's everything I said is absolutely earned. So.
Yeah, excellent. I don't know, where do you want to start, guys? Strong passwords?
So I guess you can say I'm HostGator's biggest customer. I love HostGator. It's just because I use it for everything. I'm like who we would target. I launch new websites probably every month, I think. And I think one of the biggest issues I face, and I think a lot of people face, is just getting started. You have all these ideas that you want to do. You're just like, I want to do this, I want to do this. And you're just going to get built into the, what theme do I want? What plugin do I want? How do I want my site to look like? Just get it started, and then just let things fall into place as it goes, because you're kind of pigeonhole yourself, and you'll get stuck. You'll just like, I got so many things to do. Just get started, and then you can start getting out that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like, long journey, start with the first step type thing. It's like break your project down into pieces, and then, manage them accordingly. So, try and figure out what you can do, and then what you're going to need help with to smooth that out.
So, I mean, I heard you say something at the beginning too, which is strong passwords. And I mean, I guess I'm curious, how many people, when they set up their blog, let's say you set up WordPress and you run one of the scripts that sets it up for you, how many people just leave, never change the password from what they're given?
Well, for some security standpoint, we don't know your password. We don't check that. But when you install it with WordPress or a quick install software, that's a one-click install, it generates an automatic password that's really secure. I mean, it's a lot of different characters. You got exclamation points, symbols, uppercase, lowercase, everything you need to have a secure password. If they change it, perfect. Hopefully they don't change it to something scary, but I don't know. Devon is the expert there. Security.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest issue is people want something that they can remember, and that's why they end up changing their passwords. If they do install with quick install, it is a very secure password. If they leave it, that's great. But if they do change it, they just need to understand what is considered a secure password. You see people create passwords like love123, which is one of the biggest targets out there. So just really getting people to understand what type of passwords to use is one really big thing that'll help out.
Yeah, and then changing the username. So if it's a WordPress platform, changing the username from admin, right? Because that's a target.
Yeah, Yeah, absolutely.
Those brute force attacks are nasty.
Absolutely. So, okay, I heard Kyler, I think it was you that was saying that how important it is to make sure that you are following those first steps, so like start somewhere. So could you talk a little bit about what those first steps are?
Well, I mean, if you're going to get started with the website, first thing you need to start with it is a domain name. If you don't know what a domain name is, I would say if you think about a store, the domain name is the sign for your store. You need a sign to tell people who you are. And then hosting is a store. So you need that sign first. You know what you want for the sign, and then sign up for the hosting. You can get both of them on our one-page checkout. I want this domain and then this store, this package, and they get started. Then you want to think about what do you want to build with. We have the WordPress with Quick Install, which I think 23% of the top 10 million websites out there are using WordPress. It's very user-friendly. Or we have Weebly, the drag-and-drop builder, where, I mean, it's so easy. You want an image, you grab the image, put it on there. So, yeah, domain, hosting, and then figure out how you want to start, and then go from there. And if you don't like it, you can change it. Go to WordPress next. Go to Weebly next. Whatever you need.
There's a reason WordPress is so popular, and it's really the community support. So you can go to WordPress.org and see all the free themes. We have an integration with Mojo Marketplace, which allows people to get premium themes easily installed and have access into their accounts as well as plugins. So WordPress. Yeah, like I said, there's a reason so many people do WordPress. It's the community support. It's so easy to find answers to whatever problem's going on. It's so easy to administer. It's like usually the right place to start if you're starting brand new.
Heck, we built a product specifically for WordPress. That's how much we love WordPress and people use it.
Yeah. So I know I started my college education as a CIS major. I wound up with MIS because I got into programming. I think I was my junior year taking summer classes because I was so addicted. And I think I was in COBOL programming, and I remember we were programming some cool things and nobody was talking. And I'm like, come on, guys, we need to talk about this stuff. And they're like, shut up, go to marketing. And so I wound up combining those together, but being able to have a little bit of programming knowledge, even though it's evolved. And then I remember when we first started our business, I hopped on WordPress.org and literally taught myself how to do it. And now I drive our development team crazy because I know more about some of the things than they do, even though they have years and years of experience, because I think it's so important for business owners, even if you have a little bit of technical knowledge, that you get in there and you understand how these things work, right?
Well, and it's not incredibly difficult. HTML is, most hardcore coders would say that's not code, that's markup. And there's great places to go. Codemy, Treehouse. Like we could probably rattle off a list of places that you can go and take 101 courses to figure out how to write this stuff. So
absolutely,
WordPress will get you 90% of the way there, but when you want to tweak your theme, it's really easy to jump into the PHP and do it yourself. It doesn't. The learning curve is not that steep as long as you're not afraid of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not scare people right away. I mean, I code and I hate coding sometimes because one period will break everything. Luckily, with WordPress, you don't need a code. If you know how to, it makes things so much better. But I mean, you have themes that will make your site awesome. One click, just install that. You don't have to change too many things. Plugins, you want a Facebook like box. You don't know how to install that. Just search for a plugin called Facebook like, and you can install it right on there. Since it's open source, there's so many things to integrate with it that you don't have to know how to do that code, and it makes it a lot more easier.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and if you don't want to touch the code at all, you can always just
call us.
Call us. We got design services, SEO services. Like whatever you need, you can do it. There's a huge community out there for that as well.
Oh, and Google's your friend. I hated doing it as a junior admin, but sometimes I would say, hey, using Google, I was able to find this question. I wasn't saying, hey, you could have done this, but Google's so awesome. You can just figure out everything. Search WordPress this, and you'll probably find something out there.
Absolutely.
I call it Franken coding. Because, I never write anything myself. I always steal it from everyone else.
Yes.
And attribute it.
Yeah, totally.
Well, and even if you are searching Google, so many times it takes you straight back to WordPress.org with your exact answer, right?
Yeah,
And that
exactly.
exact code. And any errors I know that I've seen, I can literally copy and paste the whole error and go put it into Google, and there's your answer. It's like,
Yes,
pick your time.
exactly.
Here, dummy, here's what you did wrong. And which leads us to the next thing on backups, right? I think because what I want to do is kind of start small with how does a company, a small business build their site, and then we'll talk about larger enterprises as we evolve this conversation today. But so now let's talk about backup. So let's say, okay, they're starting to get their feet wet, they have their domain, they have things going. Now what is important to them to make sure that they have proper backups so when they do mess up, something does wrong? Because I know HostGator has saved our behind quite a few times. I'm like, hello, can you please restore that backup we have?
Yeah, so this is, and Devon probably knows way more about this than I do, so I'll take a first swing at it, and then you can go for it. But, it depends on what you're doing. Like, if you're building your own custom app, you should probably think about GitHub or some repository where you can store that code and deploy it. Otherwise, we do weekly backups, and that's more of a fail-safe. So if your site gets, hacked, or you delete something you shouldn't have, or whatever, you've got some level of protection. If you need more than that, we have CodeGuard, which is an add-on, and that will back up daily, hourly.
Yeah,
Daily, and it's down to the file level.
Right,
Which,
exactly.
I mean, if you break like whatever.php, you can reinstall whatever.php from yesterday, and it's perfect.
And so roll back, and you're all good. So you make a mistake you don't understand, just go back. Yeah.
It's really good because you can see the days that files change. So let's say, for instance, if you did have a weak password, going back to a mistake that people make, let's say you see that this file has changed in the past date and you didn't change it. You know that something's wrong there because you can see in this application that this has changed. So it's a really good fail-safe. Our weekly backups, we do have those as a protection. Like you said, there's been plenty of times where people are saying, hey, I'm not sure what I did. I didn't have a backup. Can you guys help me? At least making a weekly backup of your site, having somewhere to go back to would be a good starting point, I would think.
Absolutely.
And if you're one of those people who back up stuff yourself on your own servers, we can even do that for you as well. Like, if you give us that backup, we'll restore that for you as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, you've done it for us a couple times. Couple 5 times.
Yeah,
because
nobody's counting.
I'll be totally honest, our site has been hacked a few times, and we are now on your site lock service and that you recommended, and it's really nice now because now when something goes down, I don't have to worry about it. They fix it before when they're starting to see that we're getting attacked or something's going on, they're able to solve it and see that coming and fix whatever needs to be fixed. And
Great to hear.
yeah, and it's worth every penny we have paid for that because, like I said, it never failed. It was always on a Saturday. It's always. I think hackers must do that on purpose. But I know so many people who have had their site hacked, and then they just quit their business or they give up on their blog. And when I hear that, it breaks my heart because they don't have a backup and they are having to start all over. And then they're like, ugh, I haven't made any money on this business, or it's not going where I want it to go, so forget it. Right? And that's the absolute worst thing I think any business owner wants to see happen.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think the majority of the time that happens, they've either paid someone to build their site and they don't want to learn themselves. That kind of goes back to what you said in the beginning, just kind of knowing some of those small technical things so in case something does happen, you know what you're looking for, you know what to fix. It's really what we consider best practice. If you're going to run it, you should know exactly what it's doing for the most part in case that does happen. You invest a lot of time into this business, a lot of time into this website. It becomes a lot easier for when those things do happen.
Absolutely. So, okay, now my next question is around setting up a development environment. So, I mean, what tips do you have for people as they are coming up to speed on these things and maybe setting up their first site? Because I know I'm guilty of that, and that's why I drive our developers crazy, is I'll get in there on a weekend and start messing with things on the live site. And although you have good intentions, I'm just going to change this little bit of code. Before you know it, you're on Google figuring out what that error code is you just got, and the whole site is down, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, I think as much as possible, if you can try and identify, where you're going to have issues as you're, specking out your project, that'll help. Absolutely get started with a shared hosting account, a baby or a hatchling, and get the site off the ground. If you start to pick up traffic, we have the optimized WordPress product,
right,
that can deal with massive amounts of traffic and resource issues, without having to go to a dedicated server. If you're starting to build out something more complex, like some sort of application where you're going to need root access, which is like admin access, so total control over the server, a virtual private server might be a good place to go to develop it. And then again, as that starts to gain traffic and gain momentum, the end of the line there is a dedicated server. And I think, Pam, your business, you actually have several dedicated servers, and are you running a CDN as well?
Pardon?
Are you running a CDN?
No, we need to. That's our next step.
I think another way is, especially for those dev environments, say you have the live site and you don't want it going down. Another way, I think Devon can tell us a little bit better about this, but the way I do it is I put like a test domain, like test.domain.com or dev.domain, copy my site completely over to that one, make the changes. As long as it's working, then I'll move it back over there. Sometimes I get it to work perfectly, sometimes I don't. That's why I call us to help figure it out.
Right.
This guy is my go-to question. Like anything I can't figure out, he helps me with everything.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I do the exact same thing. I'll start off dev.domain.com. I'll make all my updates, all my changes there, make sure it all works, and then when I'm confident, it's the golden rule. You measure twice, cut once.
Right.
Make sure it works, and if it does, then you just push it over to production, and there you go.
To clarify, when we say domain.com, we mean your domain.
Your actual
domain.com, those are cool guys. I used to work for them.
Yeah.
But
yes, your
Definitely
actual
your
website
domain.
name. Yes.
yeah, you can create a subdomain in your account and basically, copy all your files over there and play with it, and then move them back, so you can create the dev environment that way. Or you could do it like Kyler was saying with a whole separate domain.
Yeah.
That's what we do. We have some development domains that we use that we have domains, as you guys know, all over the place.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and one of the things you can do is you could use like the Apache htaccess file to IP limit who can access those files. So you could do, dev.marketingnuts.com, and then that dev marketing nuts could be exclusively accessible by your office IP address.
Right.
So that way you don't have to kind of reveal what you're working on before you're ready.
For sure.
Yeah, that's good, and that's why sometimes we just use complete dummy domains and no one would ever know that has anything to do with us. But the other thing, too, I think is a good reminder is that even on those test domains, to make sure that you are eventually removing all that, because that can cause issues with hacking, right? So if you're leaving an old WordPress site up there and everything's out of date, then hackers can get in through the old code.
Yes, I'd say that's probably the biggest, the main issue when it comes to getting hacked is outdated software. Not keeping up with those installations, and although it's in a completely separate location, if it's on the same account, they can gain access to the other files that are also on that account as well. So once you're complete with it or you're done with it, I'd say delete it or lock it down to where there's no access to it whatsoever.
Getting to the other files is not very easy. I'm not saying you can exploit it. It's not easy at all. You have to have some insider access, or you have to be insanely smart to do it. I wouldn't expect that if you get into one WordPress, you can get into all of them.
Right. But it can put some bad files out there on your server, which you don't want, right?
Right, exactly. Well, and you wouldn't want your development environment, that you're using as the repository corrupted, and so then you're spreading those out. That would be a bad situation. So, again, keep your development environment locked down.
Well, and as you guys know, we work with brands of all sizes, from solopreneurs up to enterprise, and I want to encourage the small business people to feel good about this, because these same problems happen in the enterprise. I mean, in the enterprise, right? I knew you guys would laugh at that one, because in the enterprise, the problems are just larger, right? So they forget their logons. They go buy another hosting package at a different vendor because nobody can find how they access the one that they have and they're paying for. And I worked so many years in tech at Sun Microsystems, where we had big telecom companies that had servers behind walls, $1 million platforms behind walls of construction that they didn't know were there. until we went in and did an audit, and walls had went up, where these servers were sitting.
Absolutely. Well, one of the things you reminded me of is, as a lot of businesses grow, a lot of times, you'll change out employees, and the person that registered the domain or set up the hosting account won't be there. Or as your accounting structure changes, the card that's using to renew your hosting account is not the same. And we have seen numerous times someone calling in desperate, be like, "Oh my God, my site went down, my domain went into expiry or something like that," because someone forgot that. So definitely as you grow, make sure you identify who's managing your domains, who's managing the kind of accounting side of the hosting account, so that those things don't ever fall off the map, and you're struggling to figure out where the pieces are.
Yeah, I would definitely say to make sure you keep track of it, because like you said, we've had people call in and say, hey, things are changing on my site that I haven't done. And it's usually a former employee that still has logins, and they're still changing things after they've left the company. So it's really good to keep track of those kind of things.
Yeah, it's so important. And I think that, this is a good transition as we, talk about how then do we get the work done. So, as we're thinking about, okay, I know that I need to develop a blog or website, and for the business owner who doesn't have the skills or who doesn't want to learn the skills and they want to outsource it, let's talk about some tips for them. And I want to start with talking about things that they need to know and be ready for before they even reach out for somebody to help them, whether that be their hosting partner like HostGator, whether that be an outside developer. One thing I think what you were just hit the nail on the head, Devon, is knowing your current assets, like having that list of every hosting platform that you have. Where are your domains? What's your logons? Who's the tech admin? Because I know when we work with clients, there's so much time that's lost in gathering that information. So we try to get that information as early in the process as we can, so it doesn't delay it once we have that site ready to rock.
Yeah. Yeah. So for the outsourcing, I'm a big fan of outsourcing for personal projects. Know exactly what you need them to do, and give them specific instructions, because they don't know your business. They don't really know too much about what's going on.
Right.
So give them specific information about what they need. Because if you just go, hey, so I want this idea, make it happen, they're going to make it based on what they want. And then checking in with them. I mean, hey, here's this task, do it in a week, go for it. I check up on them every week, every day. Like, hey, so where are we at in this process? If you wanted your site to be green, but they're making it purple, you can, hey, we need to change that. Because if it gets too far, you can't fix that later on. So it's like, hey, make sure you know what you're wanting, and you tell them exactly what you're
doing. Or even before that, starting with an honest assessment of your own skills. It's like you might be the marketing person that's really good at the writing, or you're really good at the SEO or the paid search or whatever. But whatever that is, kind of know where you're gonna need the help and how you're gonna get it. Again, it's not hard to find people to help you. It's absolutely not.
Absolutely.
And on top of that, really just knowing what the specialty of the outsourced person is. You'll see people going to web designers expecting graphic work, and they may not do that.
Right.
Not only assessing what you can do, but also assessing what the people you're hiring can do as well.
Absolutely.
Asking a lot of questions and setting clear expectations.
Yes.
Yeah. Just like kind of management 101 here.
And give them a test. You don't want to go, hey, okay, you're hired, and then they can't do what you think they can do.
Yeah.
They oversold themselves. So give them a test too.
I think it's something that is it's so near and dear to my heart, because we see so many small business people that come to us, and even medium-sized business that have spent thousands, tens of thousands on a website or a blog that is just nowhere close to representing, if it's if it's a person or an author, or a spokesperson or whatever type of person, a personal brand all the way up to a business brand, it doesn't represent them, right? There's nothing about that brand that is and that website they've built that represent them. And so I think it's up to the person who is outsourcing the work and hiring somebody to make sure that whoever you hire is going to take the time to understand you and your business, right? And because the more, I always say slow down to speed up, and I've written a ton of blog posts and have some podcasts on this about slowing down to figure out who you are, who your audience is, what are you building, why are you building it, what are the features it needs to have, and you don't need to have every whistle and fancy feature necessarily when you launch. It's better to start with a solid foundation and then build that out over time with the right requirements.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Silicon Valley kind of has that concept of minimum viable product, and it's something you want to think about, and
Yeah.
I think sometimes companies think that it's a little bit more minimal than it actually is, but, at the same time, a lot of first-time business owners, I think, overestimate what they actually need. Noah Kagan, if you guys know who he is, talks a lot about, well, as a marketer, he can't necessarily do all the coding, so put up a website that describes it and then start collecting email addresses of people that are interested, something along those lines. So you can even test your idea to see if there's a market for it before it really even exists. Don't go too far. That is called vapor. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's kind of business 101, right? Yep. And it's figure out, is there a market for what your product, right? Why are you building your business? Okay, someone's sending me a note. Okay, so give that to me like 30 seconds. Okay, I'm getting a request for a snappy dance.
I've seen a lot of them come in there. They're pretty funny.
Here we go. Okay, this comes from Josh ROI now. I'll share that in a minute. But I think it goes back to Business 101, and although this sounds elementary, and I'm not trying to criticize anybody by saying Business 101, but that's what it comes down to. And there are so many people that we see spending so much money and time on building their online platform, but when you say, what's your product and what market does it serve? What value does it provide to what audience? They look at you with a dazed look like, I don't know. Well, then why are you building a website, right? Why are you building your business? Figure that out first, and then everything starts to come together. Because when you know your audience, you know what you have to offer them, you know how you're going to help them solve their problems, then when you go start to work with your developer, you work with your designer, you're working on your content, all of those things are going to come to you more naturally.
Yeah, yep. And then definitely with Facebook and social being so out there these days, everybody has a social account, and Facebook ads being really cheap, you can kind of test your waters in your market. One of my friends is an entrepreneur, and he launches products all the time, and what he does is he'll post pictures of it, go, hey, would you want this? Mm-hmm. And he'll target ads to people who he thinks he wants it. And if they're getting a lot of engagement, he's like, yes, I found a good product. Yeah. So once he finds one that's good, he will start launching that one. If he finds one that's bad, he'll shut that Facebook page down, and it's over.
Right. Right. Yeah, you got to figure out and be agile, right? Be willing to make those decisions and build that business that can be agile to respond when you need to respond and pivot, as I always say. Okay, so let's talk about this request we have for the dance. So it says Bright Planet wants Snappy to do the Cabbage Patch.
Ooh. Do you know what the Cabbage Patch is, Snappy? Pam, can you demonstrate that for us?
How does it go, Josh? Okay, Josh is going to come over here.
Oh, no, I'm not going to show you.
Okay, show me. Danielle will then demo it.
All right, perfect.
We have a couple people here who can demo it, I think.
Because he's ready. He just needs to know what to do.
Okay, come here, Danielle. Danielle's going to show you how to do it.
Hello, everybody. All right,
this is Danielle O'Neill.
You got to.
All right, Snappy.
Okay, Snappy.
Can you do the Cabbage Patch?
Thank you, Danielle.
Oh, yeah, he couldn't see.
Oh, here he is. He's pausing.
Put our hands out here, and you're going to turn the butter. You're going to go around the cabbage. The arms aren't very long, but he's going to do it.
That's pretty good. I can't believe I'm watching. Okay, keep going, Snappy. Keep going. I got to get a picture of it. Look at him.
Okay, a little bit longer.
I can't believe I'm watching a gator. I'm watching a gator do a live on a Google Hangout. What would our grandparents have to say about the situation?
I don't know. That's a good question.
All right, Snappy. You stop the cabbage patch.
They would say, what happened to you?
Left. There it is. Now a little bit more.
Good job, Snappy.
Hey.
Yeah, Snappy rocks. He's good. He's still going now. Look at him.
Yeah.
He's addicted to it. All right, Snappy. All right. Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit now. So we've been talking a lot about building sites. Anything else you want to add about working with agencies or consultants, or how do you choose where you outsource this type of work? How do you know what I guess a lot of it is obviously on budget, right, and time. But let's talk about maybe some of those options. And I know that I think that's something I want to dig into today is that your host provider can be a partner, right? And I think so many businesses don't realize, for us for a long time, I didn't realize how much value our hosting partner could actually provide to us. And I'm still learning, right? I'm still going to be learning toward the end of this call today when we're talking about some security stuff, and I know more that you guys can be helping us with. I think we don't realize how much some of the partners you already have could be helping you, right? So let's talk about that. So for a small business person that maybe has a very, very tight budget, who wouldn't be afford to work with an agency like ours or, an expensive consultant, how could somebody like HostGator help them?
Okay. Yeah. So we have managed design services. So that's one that we're really proud of. We have an expert design team. You can give us a call. You kind of give us what you're wanting, and you have an expert designer that works with you during the time period to build the site that you want. Mm-hmm. We also have PPC services, so pay-per-click, if you want to show up on the sponsored ads in Google. I usually call this kind of like a flip of the switch, like a light switch. If you want traffic, you turn it on. You want traffic off, you turn it off. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you don't know how to do it, which it can be pretty scary, I never use it very often. He used to. We have guys who will do that for you. You just pay a little bit for that, and we'll do that specifically for you. And also SEO, if you want to search engine optimization, if you want to show up in top of Google organically, so if someone searches for hosting or something like that, you want to be the top result, we have guys that can help optimize your site so that you can be that top result. Not for specifically hosting.
Yeah, maybe not for hosting.
Yeah, just an idea. If you want to do dog training tips or my kibble treats or something like that.
Or wild gator dancing.
Wild gator dancing. I think we can make that happen by tomorrow.
Yeah, we probably can make that happen.
I think that'll be top of Google tomorrow, Snappy. Let's see what Snappy has to say about it. Yeah.
Love it.
See, he's got the moves. He's got the moves like Jagger, right?
Definitely. And you also have other ones. I mean, we love our services. They're great. We wouldn't pitch them if they weren't great. But we understand that they're not for everybody. So there's also a lot of services out there. You have Craigslist. You can put out a list. You can probably find someone in the area if you want to deal in person. Another place I like using for some small projects is Fiverr.
It's so incredibly useful.
Oh, it's so awesome. I love Fiverr. I've spent I don't know how much money there.
Yeah. I think the other thing is, it's like we're at the center of this industry. So, you can give us a call, and if we don't know, if we don't do it ourselves, we probably know someone who does.
Absolutely.
So, either hit us on social or just give us a call, or however you want to contact us. We can definitely help with that.
Absolutely.
Not just limited to that. One of my first chats, this guy wanted to know how to play the guitar. I do not know how to play the guitar, but he wanted a chat system to teach him how to play the guitar. So I was on Google searching for online guitar lessons, trying to help this guy figure out how to play the guitar. It was 30 minutes trying to figure that out.
But you know what? It's amazing what you can find nowadays on Google, because our kids talking about guitars. My 11-year-old got a guitar for Christmas, and I think it was the day of Christmas, he was on YouTube within an hour of opening all of his presents, learning a song, right, and able to play it from a search on YouTube.
Yeah.
Right?
Was it Wonderwall?
Was it what?
Was it Wonderwall? I think that tutorial was probably the most searched one out there.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and see what it was, but I've been amazed at, and then my other son, he learns, from that, and then Sony PlayStation or whatever he does, he has all the guitars. So nowadays, these kids and even adults, we don't have to leave our house to learn how to do so many things from a search. So let's say you're
going back to the what we were talking about with learning to code. That is so absolutely true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many. Let's talk about the flip side. So how do we make sure that we don't get ripped off? So how do we make sure that, okay, we're looking at a consultant, we're looking at, for the business owner that doesn't even hardly know how to spell WordPress, how do they make sure that the code that is being developed and the framework for which it's being developed is solid? Do you have any tips for some of the favorite frameworks that you like to see, developed? I have some opinions, but I want to hear yours first.
To make sure you're not getting ripped off, the biggest tip that I can give is ask for references, some of the work that they've done before, if they'll allow you to contact some of their previous clients and speak with them.
Absolutely.
That's honestly, I think that'll probably be the easiest way and probably the best way.
Well, yeah, exactly. You know, and just kind of going into some negotiating 101, you know, if you have the idea of what your budget's going to be and then go out and talk to, you know, your would-be peers, you know, so local, you know, friends or people in the industry or people that are maybe doing something similar or running similar businesses or tangentially related to yours, a lot of times, you know, people are super friendly and will tell you, you know, yeah, hey, yeah, you know, we run a WordPress and we do this, and you know, I don't know, if you really buddy up to someone, maybe they'll tell you like who their designer was and how much they paid, something like that, you know, and that will help you triangulate on what the deliverables should be, you know, and then you can like set out the set of requirements that you're expecting the person to complete and put that in the contract.
Yeah, and if you're going the outsource route, don't be afraid to get on Skype or on a Google Hangout with a person and really drill them. You're interviewing basically an employee. If you would hire them to be your employee, don't hire them to be your outsourcer.
Yeah.
So definitely chat with them. Make sure that it's not blowing smoke.
Well, I think also if something's going bad, get out fast.
Yes.
You know, like
Absolutely.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to compare. You know, different designers, different outsourcers. See what the going rate is. Say, hey, this is the project I'm looking to do. Ask 3 or 4 people and see what the price differences are. If it's pretty similar, then you know that's probably about what you can expect for what you pay.
Yeah, one of the things that's common for you know, developers. You mentioned asking for references or examples like portfolio work. Something else. You know, as you get a little bit more established and kind of have some credibility yourself, you could ask potential developers to code something that's unrelated to what you do. So you're not asking them to do free work, but you're asking them to demonstrate that they have the skills.
Right.
So that's something that's pretty common in the development hiring world.
Absolutely. And I think it makes sure that you don't pay for, you know, too much up front. Like pay, you know, we never require more than half up front, and then we split it into like then 25% and 25% based on certain deliverables.
Exactly.
And, you know, I think don't make sure you're getting wireframes if you can, so you know what that site layout is going to be. And I know our process is different than a lot of people, but we put a lot of work into the front end and making sure that we understand the client's requirements as far as who they are, what their audience is, and by the time that we get to development and design, we're spending very little time on development and design compared to what a lot of other consultants and agencies do, because they'll go rev after rev after rev. By the time we get to development, we know who you are, we know who your customer is, you know, and then we give the client back a few options, and 9 times out of 10 they love one of those 3 options. But I think it's really important. I hear so many stories of just people paying far too much money. They didn't shop around, kind of what you were saying, Devon. They didn't compare. And if you're going to pay a premium, make sure there's a reason you're paying that premium. Like, make sure if you've compared and you've looked at 3 different potential partners, make sure that if you're going with the higher price one, make sure you're getting something out of that. Like, did you get a better feeling from them? Did they have better references? Did they don't just choose the higher priced option because you think it's going to be better, because a lot of times, you know, it's not.
Yeah, definitely. Great tips.
Yep.
It could be their process is actually the worst, and it's going to take you the longest, and they have the most expensive resources on it who don't know what they're doing. So now let's talk about frameworks. And I'll tell you, one of my favorite, you know, I think that's a mistake that a lot of business folks make when they are building a site, is that they are afraid to use templates when it comes to WordPress. And a lot of times they're like, well, I need a fully custom site. Okay, well, you only have a budget of $2,000, $1,500 or less. It's going to be really hard for you to get a really truly custom site with everything you want. My belief is there's nothing wrong with using some templates, particularly as a foundation, and having somebody customize those.
Well, especially if you're testing the waters. You know, if you're going to do that, like, all right, I'm going to put up a site and see if people are interested type thing. Absolutely. Like, why sink a whole bunch of money into getting something like specially custom made if you don't know it's gonna work out? You know, you use a template from WordPress.org, Mojo Marketplace, you know, for low cost. Throw it up, see if the interest's there, and if it is, then start developing. You know, that would also allow you to lay some foundations in the marketing area while you're developing your application or your website or whatever it is you're doing.
And there's thousands of themes out there on WordPress. If you can't find one that is similar to what you're thinking about, I don't know. You can probably find it if you're looking hard enough for it. Search whatever WordPress theme, and you're probably going to find it out there.
Yeah, or if you find something that's close, you could always contact, like, you're on WordPress.org, this one's close, but it needs a little bit of tweaking, and you're afraid to do it yourself. Maybe you contact the person who created that theme and say, hey, can you help me out here? They already put it up for free. Maybe they can help you out.
Yeah, we really like themeforest.net. I think that it has some great themes. I think you have to kind of be careful there. There's some that aren't so great, so make sure you look at the ratings and the developers. But there's some developers there that that's what they do for their life, their business, is create themes. And there's some amazing themes there. We use some of them ourselves. And then I think, StudioPress, I'm a huge believer in StudioPress, the Genesis framework.
Yes.
We've seen some really good results from an SEO perspective with them, and I like the research and the continuous development that they put into their frameworks. I think for a business that's looking to invest a little bit, it is a little bit trickier for some developers to learn how to code and work with some of the hooks and things that they have, but we have found it to really be worth it.
Have you ever worked with Thesis?
Yes, yeah. We played around with Thesis, but we went the StudioPress route. I would love to hear your opinion on Thesis.
Well, we might be slightly biased because he's a local Austin guy. So.
All right. So you guys, see, so when it started back when I first started our agency, is that we dibble dabbled in Thesis, and then we the StudioPress kind of worked better with our brains.
Yeah, and that's one main reason that I really push people to WordPress, because you have things from the beginning user who's never touched a website to the most advanced web developer who can build sites based on these blank frameworks that they provide.
Absolutely.
WordPress is so powerful; you can do so much with it, and it's a continuous learning there. So it's not like you're having to switch frameworks. Once you figure one thing out, you move on to the next, which is a little bit more technical.
Well, the theme skins it, so it's like if you want to toss the skin and keep the content. Easy.
Absolutely. Yep. Okay, so 2 more topics I want to cover. We have like 8 minutes. So the 2 topics are, I want to talk a little bit about storage, to put in simple terms for people. Yep. Storage of things like images. Okay, so you can go look at Pam Marketing Nut. I am needing to get my stuff off to the cloud, right? It's way too much. Every time I talk to your support, they're like, Pam, you really need to move some of this stuff off. So I want you to tell me, what can a partner like HostGator do to help with that process? Mm-hmm. And then second, I want to talk about security. So I want to really dig into some what you can do to help people, what people should do for some solid security and sustainability around security.
Yeah, so I would say with storage, in most use cases, you're not going to run into storage issues. You don't need to be too concerned with like the amount of storage that a host is providing. We don't limit bandwidth. The only time that you would get yourself into a sticky situation with storage on a shared host would be if you start to like impact the server as a whole. Right. If you're on a VPS, then or a VPS or dedicated server, you have a finite amount of storage that once you fill up is full. You have a podcast, so you have media files, and so that makes the whole thing a little bit more complicated. So people that have podcasts that are storing the media files on our servers and then using iTunes to distribute them have again a more complex situation. So they might need a separate box to store the files, or need some. There's a lot of great services out there that will store the files, and then you can suck them into your website without.
That's what we do. We do that with our podcast. We host the audio files on Libsyn, and then it syndicates it everywhere. And we did that from day one, and that has been a lifesaver. So luckily, we did the research and have the right partners to help us with that, and launched with Libsyn from day one. And we have honestly not had one hiccup. And then we just keep that. Then we import. I actually use SoundCloud to bring in the audio player. As well as the player via Burberry, I think is what it is, that brings in Libsyn. I know this is technical for some people who may not know what I'm even talking about. But what we found, the reason we use SoundCloud is at first people were saying, I couldn't find the podcast. So even though there was the link at the top of the blog post that said, here is the podcast, and there's links to go over where people were like, where do I listen to the podcast?
Right.
And so when we brought the player over from SoundCloud and we just copy and paste that code into every blog post, then everybody could find it. And now Libsyn syndicates directly to SoundCloud as well. So we don't have to push it there, which is a lifesaver.
Exactly. So, we love those like kind of specialized player, or people, the biggest one being YouTube, right, for video.
Right. Yeah.
So we're using Google here for the Hangout. You don't have to reinvent the wheel yourself. Right. Another thing we could talk about with like your images, and especially with WordPress, one of the problems that people will get themselves into is they'll stack up plugins, or because they're not technical, they won't really understand what's going on with the resources on the page, or they'll have a lot of images in one post, so the load time takes a long time, and it's a bad experience for both the client and the server. That's where a CDN can come in and really speed things up. That and implementing the right caching. So
yeah, that's what we need next, I think.
We partner and we offer a couple of different CDNs also. So that's definitely one thing you want to take into account when it comes to page speed. I think most people will leave a page pretty quickly if it doesn't load in time.
Yeah.
So that's really something to be mindful as a small business owner. Once you get to the bigger files, let's say you want to host your own media files, you can look at, if you're on a dedicated server, possibly adding another drive to your server and just using that simply for media files. There's a couple of different ways you can do it, and that's what we're here for. If there's ever anything that people are unsure about, and even if it's something that we can't help with, our biggest thing is we're going to get you the help that you need by any means.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
So with the CDN, then you can help with that too, because I may.
Absolutely. Well, and so this is actually one of the most requested features, and what's really the foundation for optimized WordPress is we have these bloggers that don't really want to deal with the expense and the technical overhead of dealing with a dedicated server, but they have a ton of traffic and need a solution for that. So optimized WordPress comes in and uses Varnish and Nginx, for the more technical people, to smooth that out a lot.
Yeah.
It has several other caching plugins built in. SiteLock, CodeGuard, like kind of almost as if you went through our checkout process and checked all the boxes, and then you just go into the control panel and turn it all on, and it's one click and done. So the end result is your pages will load so much faster.
Yeah, that's what I need. We need somebody to take a look at that in a serious way.
Well, if you give us a call 24/7.
I'll be doing that. And then that can be the next thing we can talk about. I can tell you, what good came of that. So let's shift gears in and talk about security. So I really don't want to pigeonhole you into a conversation to tell you exactly what you need to tell me. I want to just ask you open-endedly, tell me what we need to know about security. And I know it's a major concern for any business, and if it isn't, it should be.
So we already addressed strong passwords, so maybe we should go the SSL route?
Yeah.
Yes, SSLs, secure certificates for any transactions, really anything, it's really good to have. No common usernames or emails. A lot of hackers and spammers, they target a lot of the basic usernames like admin, sales at, those type of things. So you want to kind of keep unique email addresses to keep those from getting hacked. Up-to-date software. That's probably my biggest thing that I have the most problems with is out-of-date software. Also, making sure that the plugins that you're using, the themes that you're using, if you are using them, that they're legit. If you're paying for them, make sure that you're getting them from a credible source. You'll find these people that say, hey, I have this premium plugin that costs $40, but you can download it for free. A lot of times those are packed with malware. They're packed with different things in them that allows them access to your site. So be careful with the things that you download and install to your site.
Yeah, that's on the scary end. It might just be they're stuffing links in somewhere, and it's just it's something that you need to understand, when you go that route. So.
Well, and I think that's huge, and that's the glory of WordPress.org, right? Is to do your research because everything's there. The reviews are there, right? And if you're downloading a plugin from WordPress.org, take the time to look at the reviews. If there are X% of 5s and a bunch of 3s, why are they 3s? And if people are saying it totally took down my site, I was able to get hacked. I mean, you see a few of those, you better be testing that on a development server at minimum before you're putting that in your enterprise environment. And I think there's so much of that the data's there, that particularly with WordPress, I know I used to be guilty of this in our team where it's so easy to install a plugin, right? Oh, cool, this looks like it'll solve this problem I have, and then I can go do what I need to do, and you don't know that you've just created 5 new problems for yourself, and
Yeah,
you're
well,
going to get that call on Saturday.
Not exactly security, but load testing. So if you're dropping new plugins in, you might want to go out to a website that will send a whole bunch of traffic at the server to see what happens.
Yeah.
And again, we probably can help with that, or at least tell us it's going to happen, so we don't think that you're getting DOSed.
Yeah.
But yeah, load testing would be a great option when you're playing around.
And I know that you guys just announced some new services around this. So can you explain it to me? Because I know you've put more in a nutshell of how people can work with you and just kind of becoming more of a one-stop shop. So how does that look to a new business, or how does that look to somebody like me that's getting, we're busting out at the seams in every direction?
Yeah, so the newest product that we have that actually launched last Tuesday was Optimized WordPress. And so that one really is about solving resource requirements that people have. And it's that, and then the other dimension is simplification. So it's all about WordPress. You don't have to go into the cPanel login or a cPanel control panel. You just use our portal interface. So it's the most streamlined experience possible. So you can you log into HostGator's portal, you click go into WordPress, and bang, you're in. You don't need to worry about any of the back-end administration stuff. It's all done. So you get the usability plus the caching and all that good
the
stuff.
optimization.
Optimization. That's the word I'm looking for.
We talked about having those bad plugins out there. We have a list of bad plugins that we know, and we will just not let you download them. Right. We won't let them use them because we know it's going to either hurt your site or it's going to hurt the server. So we have a blacklist of those plugins. A lot of things that we talked about today, so site lock, malware scanning or removal, that's already built into the product. It's not just an addition; it's built into it.
Yeah.
Code Guard, the daily backups and restores, built into it. The CDN built into it. Like Chris was saying, the cache. We bundled a lot of these awesome services into Optimized WP to make it even better, and to further it so you can focus on your content versus having to update your website. It will automatically update WordPress, your themes, your plugins. Because I have 50 WordPress sites out there. I don't go through and check them all out there. 2 years later, they might get vulnerable and they might get hacked. With us, we're going to automatically update that so you can handle your business. Let us handle the hard stuff.
Yeah, and not only is your WordPress and plugins going to stay up to date, but also the server information will as well. So you have the latest version of PHP, Apache, MySQL, and it's all done automatically. So you're not having to worry about these vulnerabilities that are coming out every few months and asking your hosts, hey, can you guys update this because this thing happened. So it's really, like you said, it's a one-stop shop. That's what we want it to be. We want you to focus more on your content, less on administration.
Right, exactly. Well, and then you layer on top of that the HostGator 24/7 365 support. So it's like if you need help with something, even if you're not sure, it's like I need a survey plugin for WordPress and I'm not sure which one we should use. Yes. You should call us because I guarantee that our support guys know exactly the right one to use.
That right there, my friend, is huge. What you just said, because it is time is money, and it's everything that I just heard you say. Like I think we're getting ready to launch a couple new really big platforms, and I think I'm going to give you a chance with that new service to help us out.
Perfect.
And it's time is money, and particularly if you are geeky like us, and for me on a Saturday night, if I'm at home and we went out to dinner, we've done our fun stuff, and the kids go to sleep, I enjoy crawling up on the couch and looking for plugins, right? Yes, I'm a nerd, but I could be spending that time doing other things, right? And so there's other geeky things I could be doing that's more valuable to my business. That if there's already these plugins that are working, why should a business owner go worry about that when you've already figured it out?
And we have a view that you don't, because you can look for the perfect plugin, but we have seen literally these plugins used thousands of times. So as I was saying, you could do the load testing yourself, or you could call us and ask what's most likely to cause problems, or what have you seen perform the best, and we can just tell you.
it's that whole slow down to speed up, right?
Yep.
It's slowing down to speed up, and really it's with something like that you're going to be zooming fast before you're not going to have to slow down that long, because really you're just slowing down to build it the right foundation and then get it where it needs to go. So I think that's excellent information. So Danielle, do we have any other questions?
No, there's been a couple of requests for Snappy to do a few moves.
Okay, so we have, what kind of moves is he being requested to close out on?
Lawnmower.
Okay, the lawnmower. He's so he's
The
gonna have.
lawnmower. All right, the lawnmower. Have you ever operated lawnmower, Snappy? I know we usually do that for you. So basically, it's the same thing. You reach
Running
down,
Man.
you grab the lawnmower, and you pull it back.
Look at him.
Yes.
Right. Snappy knows what's going on.
Yes.
Look at him.
Usually he's just in the swamp, so he doesn't have to worry about the grass, but he knows how to do it.
Nice.
So because he lives in the swamp, he must see a lot of the people well, I guess maybe not the swamp. If he's living in Snappy, have you ever lived in a neighborhood lake or pond? Shake your head yes or no. Yeah, he has.
Yes.
So you've seen some people mowing lawns. Is that why you knew that move so well? Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
All right. So what was the other one? The Running Man. We have a request for the Running Man.
Oh yeah, we practiced this one, didn't we? The running man.
Oh, good job, Snappy. Look at that. Your mama would be proud, Snappy.
And the running man.
Can you?
Combo.
Oh yeah.
Good job. Okay, what was the other one, Danielle?
So Running Man, the lawnmower, and the Carlton.
What's the Carlton?
Oh, I love
It's
the
like
Carlton.
Running Man.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a demonstrator over here. Come over here, Danielle.
Do you know the Carlton?
Do you remember this one from Fresh Prince? It might
Oh,
have
you
been before
don't?
your time. You might not
Here's
have had
Danielle.
chance, but the
Okay.
Carlton?
All right. So you're basically waving your arms from left to right, from bottom
Good
up.
job, sister.
Put your arms down,
Oh, look at him.
down, and then bring them up to
Good
the
job,
left,
Snappy.
and then bring them up to the right. Kinda. There it is. It's a modified version of the
His
Carlton.
friends are laughing.
It's HostGator, not DanceGator. So.
Oh, I absolutely love it. I feel so proud of Snappy. Snappy, turn this way, Snappy. Good job, Snappy. That is a great way to end this hangout today. Snappy, you were amazing. Oh, he's still dancing. Now he's addicted. He might have his own Snappy show.
I think we can make that happen.
I think we should.
Look at him. All right. Good job, Snappy. And thank you, Chris, Kyler, and Devon. Excellent information shared today. I really appreciate it. And I am 100% positive this is going to be information that will be useful for anyone who views this and moving forward. So just thank you again. And any parting words or dances you want to do?
Sprinkler. Do you know the sprinkler?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He knows a version of the sprinkler.
Hey, thanks for having us and all the kind words. Anyone out there watching the hangout, feel free to hit us up on social. We're there 24 hours a day, even if you just want to talk.
What's the best place for people to go to learn about, some of the services you talked about today? Where do you want to send them?
So HostGator.com is, kind of the one-stop shop for all that stuff. If you have more specific, or custom requirements, there's a web or phone number there. Give us a call.
All righty. And then we'll be make sure we'll be tweeting out the link for the survey and giving away that today. And I think Snappy was maybe going to do a Twitter video, right, announcing the winner later.
Yeah,
we
I
can
think
do that.
I plan on doing that.
All right. So keep your eyes out. We'll be announcing it soon. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great night.
Thanks, man.
Okay. Bye-bye.